The forest pulsed with an ethereal glow. Giant trees draped in bioluminescent moss reached for the sky like emerald skyscrapers. Their leaves, shimmering with an internal light, cast dancing shadows on the forest floor. Strange, beautiful flowers, glowing in hues of violet and gold, added their own music to this symphony of light. The air hummed with the whisper of unseen life. Insects with wings of spun moonlight flitted through the air. Small, furry creatures with eyes like glowing embers peered from behind luminous fungi. This was a world unlike any other, a place of magic and wonder. This was the forest of Xylos, a hidden jewel in the vast cosmic ocean, untouched by the footsteps of man, until now. John, an astronaut stranded far from Earth, stumbled through the undergrowth. His eyes, still adjusting to the alien light, widened in awe at each new discovery. He had crash-landed on Xylos weeks ago, his ship a smoldering ruin. He was alone, or so he thought until he encountered them. Two figures, tall and graceful, emerged from behind a curtain of glowing vines. Their skin, a shade of deep amethyst, shimmered faintly in the forest light. Their eyes, large and luminous, shone with an intelligence that both intrigued and intimidated him. They were Xylonians, natives of this world, and they had been watching him. The taller Xylonian, Lyra, spoke in a series of melodic clicks and whistles. Her companion, Elara, placed a reassuring hand on her arm. John, though he couldn't understand their words, sensed their lack of hostility. Using a combination of gestures and drawings in the soft earth, John managed to convey his situation. He was lost, alone, and desperate for help. Lyra and Elara studied him, their expressions unreadable. Then, with a nod from Lyra, they turned and began walking deeper into the forest. A silent invitation for him to follow. John, his heart pounding with a mixture of hope and trepidation, followed. His journey into the heart of Xylos had begun. As they ventured deeper into the forest, John learned to read the subtle language of Xylos. The rustle of leaves warning of approaching creatures, the changing colors of the bioluminescent moss signaling shifts in the weather. Lyra, with her sharp eyes and quick reflexes, proved to be a skilled hunter. She brought down small, six-legged creatures with a swift throw of her spear, sharing the cooked meat with John. Elara, with her gentle touch and vast knowledge of Xylonian herbs, treated his cuts and bruises with a poultice that glowed faintly in the dark. As the days turned into nights, John found himself drawn to the two Xylonians, to Lyra's quiet strength and Elara's gentle wisdom. They were so different, yet he felt an undeniable connection to them. Section 5. The Dance of Discovery. One evening as they rested beneath a canopy of glowing leaves, John attempted to bridge the communication gap. The forest around them was alive with a soft, ethereal glow, casting an otherworldly light on their faces. The air was filled with the gentle hum of nocturnal creatures, creating a symphony that seemed to resonate with the very essence of the forest. He pointed to the sky, then to himself, and finally to a distant point on the horizon. His gestures were deliberate, each movement carefully thought out to convey his message. He hoped that the simplicity of his actions would transcend the language barrier that separated them. "Earth," he said, hoping they understood the concept of another world. His voice was steady, but there was an underlying current of uncertainty. Would they grasp the enormity of what he was trying to communicate? The idea of a world beyond their own, a place so different yet so similar. To his surprise, Lyra nodded. Her eyes sparkled with understanding, and a small smile played on her lips. It was a moment of connection, a bridge between two worlds that had seemed so distant just moments before. She pointed to a cluster of particularly bright stars, forming a constellation he didn't recognize. The stars seemed to pulse with a life of their own, their light weaving a tapestry of stories across the night sky. "Xylos," she said, her voice a soft whisper of sound. The name carried a weight, a history that John could only begin to imagine. It was a name that spoke of ancient legends and timeless tales. Elara then took a smooth, flat stone and began to draw. Her movements were fluid, each stroke of her fingers creating a new piece of the puzzle. The stone seemed to come alive under her touch, the patterns glowing faintly in the dim light. Her fingers moved with a practiced ease, sketching intricate patterns that seemed to glow faintly in the dim light. The symbols she drew were beautiful and mysterious, each one telling a part of their story. John watched in fascination as she created a series of images depicting their journey through the forest, their encounters with strange creatures, and finally, their growing bond. Each image was a testament to their shared experiences, a visual diary of their adventure. It was a language they all understood, the language of shared experiences and unspoken emotions. In that moment, they realized that despite their differences, they were not so different after all. They were all part of the same dance of discovery, a journey that transcended words and spoke to the heart. Section 6. A test of trust. Their peaceful journey was not to last. The forest, once a sanctuary of tranquility, began to shift around them. As they approached the heart of the forest, the air grew heavy with a palpable tension. The trees seemed to whisper secrets, their leaves rustling with an unseen energy. The once harmonious symphony of light became erratic, the colors flashing in a chaotic dance. It was as if the forest itself was warning them of the danger ahead. They stumbled upon the reason for the disturbance, a group of Xylonians, their skin a sickly shade of gray, their eyes burning with a malevolent light. These creatures were unlike any they had encountered before. These were the Kalar, a faction of Xylonians who had turned away from the light, embracing the shadows that lurked within the forest. Their presence was a blight upon the land, a stark contrast to the forest's natural beauty. The Kalar surrounded John, Lyra, and Alara, their weapons drawn. The air was thick with tension, each side waiting for the other to make the first move. John instinctively stepped forward to protect his companions, but Lyra gently pushed him back. Her eyes met his, conveying a silent message of trust and determination. "Stay with him," she whispered to Alara, her voice laced with urgency. Alara nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. Then with a fierce cry, she launched herself at the Kalar, her spear flashing in the dim light. The battle was swift and brutal, each movement a testament to her skill and resolve. As the dust settled, the Kalar lay defeated, their malevolent presence dissipating into the forest. John and Alara rushed to Lyra's side, their hearts pounding with relief and admiration. In that moment, they knew their bond had been tested and strengthened. The forest once again returned to its serene state, a silent witness to their unwavering trust in one another. Section 7. Beneath a sky of shifting hues. The forest floor became a whirlwind of motion. Lyra, her movements a blur, fought with a desperate fury, her spear a silver streak against the darkness. The Kalar, though larger and more numerous, struggled to keep up with her agility. John, his heart pounding in his chest, watched helplessly as the battle raged around him. He wanted to help, but he was outmatched, his human strength no match for the alien weaponry of the Kalar. Alara, her eyes fixed on the fight, placed a hand on his arm. "We have to trust her," she said, her voice a calming presence in the chaos. John, his gaze locked on Lyra's lithe form as she danced through the shadows, could only nod. His fate and the fate of the forest rested in her hands. Section 8. Bonds forged in starlight. The battle raged on, the air thick with the scent of ozone and the clang of weapons. Just when it seemed like the Kalar would overpower her, Lyra let out a piercing cry. The forest responded. The bioluminescent moss that blanketed the trees flared with a blinding light, momentarily blinding the Kalar. Lyra, seizing the opportunity, disarmed her attackers, her movements swift and decisive. The remaining Kalar, their eyes wide with fear, turned and fled into the shadows, leaving Lyra standing triumphant amidst the glowing undergrowth. She returned to John and Alara, her chest heaving, her spear dripping with the bioluminescent blood of the Kalar. She looked at John, her eyes filled with a mixture of relief and gratitude. Section 9. A love written in luminescence. In that shared glance, beneath a sky of shifting luminous hues, something shifted within John. It was as if the very essence of the forest, with its bioluminescent glow, had seeped into his soul, illuminating feelings he had long kept hidden. The colors danced above them, casting a magical light on their faces, making the moment feel timeless. The admiration he felt for Lyra, for her courage and her strength, blossomed into something deeper, something akin to love. He had always respected her resilience, her unwavering spirit in the face of adversity, but now, under the enchanting glow of the forest, that respect had transformed into a profound affection. He saw her not just as a companion on this journey, but as someone who had touched the very core of his being. And in the way Lyra returned his gaze, her hand reaching out to gently touch his cheek, he saw a reflection of those same feelings. Her touch was soft, yet it sent a shiver down his spine, a silent acknowledgement of the bond they shared. It was a moment of pure connection, where words were unnecessary and emotions spoke volumes. They stood there for a moment, bathed in the ethereal glow of the forest, their connection as tangible as the air they breathed. The forest around them seemed to pulse with life, mirroring the rhythm of their hearts. It was as if the entire universe had conspired to bring them to this point, to this moment of undeniable truth. In that moment, the vast distance between their worlds, the differences in their species, seemed to melt away. They were no longer bound by the constraints of their origins. The luminous forest had become a sanctuary, a place where their souls could meet without barriers. It was a testament to the power of love, a force that could transcend any obstacle. They were no longer a human man and two alien women. In the eyes of the forest, they were simply beings of light, connected by a shared destiny. The forest had a way of revealing the truth, of stripping away the superficial layers to expose the essence of who they were. They were simply three souls, bound together by a shared adventure, a common purpose, and a love that transcended the boundaries of language and species. Their journey had forged a bond that was unbreakable, a connection that was as enduring as the light that surrounded them. They had become a family, not by blood, but by choice and circumstance. Their journey through the luminous forest of Xylos had just begun. Each step they took was a step into the unknown, but they faced it together, united by their shared experiences and the love that had blossomed between them. The forest was a living entity, its glow guiding them forward, promising new discoveries and challenges. And as they ventured deeper into its glowing heart, they knew that their love, like the bioluminescent life that surrounded them, would only grow stronger with each passing day. The forest was a symbol of their journey, a reminder that even in the darkest times there is always light. Their love was a beacon, a guiding star that would lead them through any darkness they might face.